If current trends persist, worldwide plastic production is set to triple by 2060. But plastic pollution might soon be a thing of the past, because Japanese scientists have just found a way to break it down completely. Hi guys, I'm Freddy, and from the creation of the world's largest marine reserve to a blood test that can detect cancer up to 3 years in advance, this is our monthly dose of good news. And we start with the good news that China is building the world's largest national park system. You might be surprised to hear that about 4 years ago, China opened up its first ever national park. That is almost 150 years after the USA did the same thing. But since then, China has been catching up. 4 more parks covering roughly 230,000 square kilometers have been created in that time. That's pretty much the size of Romania. And the good news is that this is only the start. The Chinese government has announced that by 2035 they will have over 49 parks, stretching over an area roughly the size of 5 Romanias. These enormous natural sanctuaries will feature every sort of environment you can imagine, from frosty glaciers to humid rainforest and arid deserts. They will also give people a chance to see plenty of different animals, from giant pandas to Siberian tigers and Asian elephants. This push is actually part of a bigger plan to encourage visitors from abroad to experience the natural beauty, wildlife and local culture of China. Because up until now, tourists have generally been more interested in China's iconic cities. And from China to the Pacific Ocean, where leaders in Melanesia have just announced the creation of the world's largest marine reserve. Melanesia is a sub-region of the Pacific Ocean, just above and to the right of Australia. And this maritime paradise is one of our planet's most biodiverse places. Just to give you an idea, 75% of all known coral species can be found there. And now they are going to get an extra layer of protection. That's because the governments of the Solomon Islands and Vanuatu have announced that it will soon become the world's first ever indigenous managed ocean reserve. The majority of the people living in this beautiful corner of the world are of indigenous Melanesian descent. And they proclaimed the reserve will be at least 6 million square kilometers. That will make it the largest marine reserve in the world, roughly the size of the Amazon rainforest or 23 New Zealands. At the moment though, the plan is in its very early stages. But the general aim will be to promote economic activities that are good for the environment and stop illegal fishing. We will keep you updated as soon as there's more good news on this, so make sure to subscribe. And meanwhile, let's head over to Norway for our next positive story. You've probably heard this a million times by now, but the release of CO2 into the atmosphere is heating up our planet to dangerous levels. What you might have not heard of, though, is something called carbon capture and storage. This works by separating the CO2 emissions from industrial processes like, for example, cement production. After this, it is compressed and sent through pipelines or loaded onto ships and trucks. In the final stage, the carbon is injected deep underground, where it stays hopefully for a very long time. And this brings us to the good news that Norway has just established the biggest carbon capture and storage operation ever. Every year, the so-called Longship project will store 400,000 tons of CO2 under the North Sea. Just to give you an idea, that's about how much CO2 is released by Norway's heating system every year. It's important to note though that this project is very expensive. It's gonna cost just under $3.5 billion to run it for 10 years. As a result, some have argued that only super wealthy countries like Norway can afford it. But Norway is taking steps to make it more affordable for other countries too. One thing they're gonna do is to encourage energy companies to build pipelines across Europe to lower the transportation prices. Money aside though, no one can deny its effectiveness. Right now, this project will act more as a proof of concept, that this type of system can be operated on a large scale. And if it's made cheaper in the coming years, it really could have a massive impact. Advanced technology like this will certainly have a massive part to play in our fight against global warming. And the same thing could be said about this newly released scientific paper. It documents how 3 new species of methane-eating spiders were discovered 900 meters under the ocean. To be honest, this sounds a bit like the start of a scary movie. But trust me, this is actually good news. Let me explain. Back in 2021, Professor Shanna Goffridi was diving just off the coast of Southern California. And her goal was to study the seabed. More specifically, she was looking for places where methane gas was being released. After taking some samples, she analyzed them in the lab. And what she found in them shocked her. They contained a type of see-through deep-sea spider previously unknown to science. And the 1 centimeter long insect displayed a very unusual characteristic. It ate methane gas. But what made it extremely interesting was how it was eating it. Its skin was covered in a type of bacteria that converts methane into food. The spider then consumed this food directly from its skin. Researchers believe they do this by scraping it off their own body with their 3 tiny teeth. After this, Goffredi's team found actually 2 more spiders with very similar characteristics. And next up, let's talk about how this endangered bird has been officially spotted for the first time in 3 decades. And I will share this fantastic story with you in just a second. I just quickly want to thank CyberGhost VPN for making this video even possible. In case you didn't know this, your internet provider, public Wi-Fi or even websites can all track exactly what you do online. Well, the solution for this is CyberGhost VPN, which encrypts all of your information and reroutes them through their secure servers. This way, you can hide your IP address and no one will know about your online activity. They have over 38 million users, a near-perfect score on Trustpilot, and it's literally one of the most recommended VPNs on the market. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I actually travel quite a lot. And that's why I've been using CyberGhost for quite a few years already, way before they started supporting Good News. You can use CyberGhost VPN on up to 7 devices at the same time and also share it with your family and friends. By simply selecting one of their over 100 virtual locations, you can also find better online deals and unblock exclusive content from platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and more. And if you are still not sure, they offer a 45-day money-back guarantee. Check them out at cyberghostVPN.com/goodnews for 84% off and 4 months for free. And now let's take a closer look at this endangered bird that has been spotted for the first time in 3 decades. The Plains Wanderer is truly unique because it's the last surviving member of the Pedionormidae family of birds. Its closest ancestor lived over 60 million years ago. Back then, Australia, South America, and Antarctica were all linked by land. And like the name suggests, this bird can mainly be found on the ground, because they are not really good at flying. It's every birdwatcher's dream to spot one of these in the wild. But in recent decades, this has become nearly impossible. Their population has declined to fewer than 1,000. In fact, the last time there was a confirmed sighting of one of them in the wild was over 30 years ago. Most to blame for this is widespread land clearances for farming and predators such as foxes and cats. And last year, Zoos Victoria set out to locate this elusive species once again. But actually spotting one in real life is really difficult. The Plains Wanderer is really small. And it uses camouflage to hide in tall grass. So, that is why the researchers chose to listen out to them instead. First, they set up 35 audio recorders across grassland environments in southern Australia. Then, they used AI to analyze the data for anything that sounded like the Plains Wanderer. And here are the good news. Its distinctive soft call was identified for the first time in over 3 decades. I should probably clarify here that they didn't actually see the bird. But now that they know it's still out there, I guess it's only a matter of time. And this isn't the only endangered species that's been rediscovered in recent times using advanced tracking technology. The most significant one involved this funny-looking guy. A newly published paper has outlined how it was caught on camera for the first time in this region of Southeast Asia. This exceedingly rare mammal is one of only 5 egg-laying mammals that are still around today. In 2023, it was caught on camera by an expedition led by the Oxford University. And before this, the last confirmed sighting was all the way back in 1961. So, this rediscovery is a massive win for conservation. Now that we are on the topic, we have to mention how one of the world's most threatened frogs has also bounced back from extinction. This frog is remarkable, because it can only be found in this tiny Argentinian region that's only 10 square kilometers in area. That place is the Valcheta stream in Patagonia. And yes, by that I mean literally just a stream. In the early 2000s, habitat loss, invasive species and cattle ranching made it critically endangered. That's when conservationist Federico Cagoliris and his team stepped in. From 2018, they raised these frogs in captivity, released them into the wild and removed invasive troutfish. The result is that since then, their total population of 4,500 has shot up by 15%. So for now, this frog has been saved from extinction. And now it's time to go over what's happening in medicine. So, we will start with the good news that a breakthrough blood test can now detect cancer years before any symptoms appear. When it comes to cancer, spotting it early will always increase the chances of survival. Simply put, in a less developed stage, it is a lot easier to control and manage. A good example is breast cancer. If this is detected at the earliest possible time, then almost all women will survive for 5 years or more. In contrast, if spotted at the most advanced stage, only 3 in 10 will make it. Thankfully, researchers at Johns Hopkins have just made it a lot easier to catch it early. They discovered that genetic mutations caused by tumors can be identified in the blood over 3 years before they start growing. In a small study of 52 people, all participants gave blood samples. Over the next 6 months, 26 of them were diagnosed with cancer. When researchers analyzed their blood using the new test, it detected signs of cancer in 8 out of the 26. And here's what makes it interesting. 6 of those 8 patients had given older blood samples more than 3 years earlier. And when researchers looked at those samples, the test still found signs of cancer in 4 of them. That means the test was able to pick up cancer signals years before diagnosis in a few cases. So, is this the breakthrough that we've been waiting for? Not quite yet. The test missed cancer in most of the patients, so it's not ready for clinical use yet. But it shows that cancer leaves a genetic trace in our blood long before it shows up on any scans. And that is a huge step forward. With more research, this approach could one day lead to routine blood tests that can detect cancer early, when it's most treatable. And that's why an even bigger trial is now being planned to confirm these results. And of course, we will let you know if there's any new update on this. And now, let's talk about good news from space. Because the Vera Observatory has just published its very first images. The recently opened Vera C. Rubin Observatory is what's known as a survey telescope. It works by taking photos of large areas of the galaxy in quick successions. This powerful, cutting-edge instrument is situated on top of a mountain in Chile, where it uses a 3,200 megapixel camera that's about the size of a car. There, it rests atop an automated, movable platform that can rotate a full 360 degrees really quickly. All of this allows it to take some of the most detailed pictures yet of the entire visible sky and the universe that lies beneath. And the first of these images have just been released. This photo here is the result of over 600 individual shots merged together. It depicts in never-before-seen clarity the Trifid and Lagoon nebulas, which are over 4,000 light-years away. Another one shows the southern part of the Virgo cluster and about 10 million galaxies. And with 10 more years of planned observations, this is probably just the beginning. Speaking of new beginnings, scientists in Japan have developed a type of plastic that dissolves in seawater within hours. Plastic waste is one of the biggest threats to our land and marine environments. It can take anywhere between 20 to 500 years to decompose. And even when it does, it never truly disappears, because it lives on as tiny microplastics. Experiments with biodegradable plastics have shown some promise, but these materials still leave behind microplastics. Scientists in Japan, though, have just developed a type of plastic that not only dissolves in seawater, but leaves behind no microplastics. In a demonstration, they showed how a piece of plastic completely disappeared after about an hour. It's still very early, but it may become revolutionary. We will keep you updated as soon as there's more news on this. And for the last story, let's take a trip to South America, where for the first time no new coal plants are being planned. In 2015, there were a total of 18 coal-fueled power plants expected to be built in South America. In that same year, though, every single South American nation signed the Paris Agreement. And by doing so, they pledged to do what they could to limit the global rise in temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius or less. And now, it looks like they are keeping true to their promise. South America has literally cancelled everything to become the first continent to have no new coal plants planned. Renewable technology, lower costs for wind and solar, and not to mention the Paris Agreement, are all to credit for this. What do you think? Which of these good news are the most important? As always, let us know in the comments below, and if you want to try CyberGhost VPN, use our link for 84% off and 4 months for free, as well as a 45 days money-back guarantee. Enjoy having full access to blocked content on the internet while browsing safely. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!